All right, that isn't normally a patch I would be using to demo a guitar, but this guitar is just a lot of fun, and so is that patch. So we'll get into some normal sound samples later, but I just wanted to jam with this to show Rob it is up and playing. We've got plans for it, but like I said, it's just a fun guitar, fun patch. So I thought let's do something a little different for the intro. So again, I mentioned Rob. I do want to shout him out again. I'm going to include links to his channel, as well as links to his videos about this guitar. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how it got to be the way it is, you can go check out his channel and his videos. I'll have a link to my playlist for this guitar as well, if you want to see the unboxing and the on the bench and anything else that we'll eventually do with this. Thanks again to Rob. Go check him out. And let's talk about the history of the Samick Greg Bennett Designs Malibu Mini. Let me put this away real quick. And this is something I can't do with any other guitar. I have a tiny little stand right there on my desk. So let's talk a little bit about Samick. Samick was founded in 1958 in South Korea and grew into one of the largest guitar manufacturers in the world, building guitars for companies such as Epiphone, Squier, and Hohner. In 1998, they hired Greg Bennett on the headstock there to overhaul their guitar line and help them set a distinct brand identity for their instruments. In 2002, following a company purchase by Jong-Sup Kim, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, Samick officially started stamping the Greg Bennett Designs logo on the guitars. So you can see it on the headstock there, as well as I've got the Samick logo under my tuner there. We'll get into why that's on the headstock just a little bit later. The lower numbered or single digit models like the Avion AV1 were built in Indonesia, while the 3 Series and above were produced in South Korea to higher quality specs. The Greg Bennett, Silvertone, and Samick branded models are still produced under their own branding. They still have contracts. The specifics aren't completely available online, but they also continue to produce the budget and mid-tier models for Epiphone, Squier, and Washburn. And I had to look at that. Washburn is having troubles, but they are not gone. They are continuing to produce instruments. So some of them will have been produced by Samick. So let's talk about the guitar itself. As I mentioned, you can see it in the title. I've said it before. It is a Samick Greg Bennett Series Malibu MMB-1. So usually the Malibu is MB-1, so the second M is for Mini. It is produced by Samick, but it only has the logo on the headstock, not the actual name. The year, that's a little difficult. I didn't see any serial number on here unless it's under the neck, which I didn't think to look at when I did, but doing a little research, these were produced from 2002 to 2010, and there is an inspection sticker on the back, which you can't really see, but inspected by Santoso, good job. It has a 1002 on that, so I am suspecting this is probably one of the first ones out of the factory. I don't see how it could be inspected in 02 if it was produced later, unless it's a different date format that they've got there, and that's the year it was first, in which case it'd be a 2010. So this was made somewhere in the range that these were produced. It was likely made in Indonesia, because I did look up a little bit more information online. There's not a whole ton of individual specs online about these, so I got the basics, and then the rest I got from other people that had them, as well as Rob's videos. So I believe it was likely made in Indonesia, but it's possible that it was made in China. Either way, it's for a mini, it's a very well crafted little guitar. The weight on it, I did it twice to make sure I wasn't doing it wrong. 4.1 pounds. So that's one of the benefits of a mini besides the size, and we'll get into some of that when I get my final thoughts on it, but just it does not weigh a lot. This is a 19-inch scale length, so as you can tell, this is rather tiny. Here, let's take out the sire real quick. You can see the sire. That's a normal 25.5-inch scale. And there's your 19-inch scale Samick. So it is quite the difference, both in weight, size, playing feel. But like I said, there's advantages to that. And it's not just for kids, which is what I think a lot of people think of when they see minis. So the construction on this, according to everything I found online, it's hard to tell through a solid color of paint, but this is a mahogany body. I, again, can't really tell if it was multiple parts. The paint is thick enough that it would be covering any seams. Perhaps when I do go under the hood, I'll get a chance to look and see in the cavity to see if we can tell. I would not suspect that it's a one-piece body, especially on a entry-level instrument like this, but you never know. It has a single-ply white pick guard that has been cell shaded, so that's why the black is on there, but this seems to be a little thicker than most single-ply pick guards. The neck is maple. Hard to say exactly what shape it is at this scale, but it is not chunky. In Rob's vids, he listed it as a slim taper in his thing, and I would agree with that. I wasn't taking the strings off to get the fret depth measurement. Sorry, 2 yards. Maybe for a future thing when I go under the hood again, I'll add that in, because I am going to do a little work on this, and we'll get into that later. It has 21 what I'm going to call medium frets. They're not super tall, but they are also not super skinny widthwise. So we're gonna go with medium. There wasn't listed anywhere on there. The radius of the neck, using my gauges, it seems to be a 12-inch radius on the neck, and the fretboard is indeed rosewood. So we've got pretty decent woods used in the construction of this. It wasn't cheaped out on that part. We have the white dot markers on the neck, and we have white side dot markers as well. The nut is 1.625 inches or 41.275 millimeters, so about a 42 millimeter nut if you ever had to replace it. It is black in color, which it is what it was set on the original in the specs. It feels like plastic or maybe some kind of resin. We'll see. It's holding in there. It doesn't seem, when I was putting the strings in, it doesn't seem cheap like some plastic nuts where they just start shredding when you put the strings in. So we're probably going to go with this until we have to change it if anything happens. The pickups that originally came with this, and I'll show a picture of a stock one here so you can see, were what they listed as 6,000 WH pickups. They were 2 single coils, and in most of the stock pictures, they were white pickups. And I do like what Rob did here. Rob replaced these with Guitar Madness pickups. In the neck, we have a Guitar Madness 62, and in the bridge, we have a Guitar Madness Hot Rails. And the bridge comes in, I did this on the bench, but we'll go over here too. The bridge comes in at 13.43. The middle position, both pickups at once, you have 4.02, and the neck is 5.61. So there is a fair amount of difference between the levels of the neck and the bridge pickup. But when we go through the sound tones, I'm not really noticing a huge amount of level difference on them from going from really loud to really quiet. So whatever else happened there, Rob, good job balancing these out. The master volume and tone, according to Rob's videos, are both 500K pots. We have a 3-way switch, and the tuners on the back these are the stock. Speaking of tuners, let me get that out of there so you guys can see. The tuners on the back are the Diamondback. They're the stock tuners. A couple of them were fairly loose, and one of them seems to slip a little bit, so I am going to be replacing them. I did go ahead and get myself some Ettore machine heads. These are locking tuners, and we're going to upgrade to those just because I am having a little bit of tuning stability problems, and we'll get into that later too. But I don't think it's just the tuners, so we'll talk about it when I talk about what else is going to happen with it. The Ettores are 18:1. The ratio on these, unknown. I didn't think to put a piece of string in there and check what they were before I strung it up, and I'm certainly not taking it out with this being my only set of 11s to do that. The bridge, Came with a hardtail bridge similar to this one with the individual intonatable saddles, but the one that came with it had where the strings enter was offset from where the saddles sit, so it was a little awkward, and you can see that in Rob's video too. So he replaced it with a bridge that had a better string pull and stainless steel saddles in it. And the bridge seems fine, although I am going to have to go back in. When I was trying to intonate, I noticed things weren't moving, and that could be user error on my part too. So we'll go back in and check the intonation again once I change the tuners and work on the nut. So let me get a couple sound samples out here, and we're going to do something a little different. I think some of the overdrive samples, if it's causing a whole lot of noise, there might be cuts in there as I try and work with the noise gate so you guys don't have to listen to a really loud 60 cycle hum. For the clean tones, we are going to be using a patch that Rob shared with me. He uses the Spark environment quite a bit too, and I commented on one of his videos that I really liked the tone, and he kind of pointed me at the tone that he was using. So this is called MGS Hall. There is a fair amount of chorus and reverb on it, but it'll give you an idea what the pickups sound like. We'll walk through all the positions. So that was just the bridge. We're going to go to the bridge and middle position now. And then finally up to the neck. That's a really nice patch. I like that sound. I'm going to be using that for some stuff in the future. I think it's going to be something that I can make some good backing track stuff. So thanks again for that too, Rob. But you could hear the difference in the pickups. The bridge pickup, being hotter, is a little brighter. The middle and neck positions were a little darker, and that's a good variety of tones out of such a tiny little guitar. So I think that's great. So let's move on to, we'll do some overdrive here. All right, we're just doing the bridge here. All right. We're going to do the middle position. Tone and volume are clocked, by the way, just to keep everything consistent. They're both at 10. And then finally, just the neck for a little bit of drive. I like that too. That neck for more bluesy sounds like that is really nice. So this is a really, really fun guitar. I keep saying that, but it's worth repeating. All right, finally, we're into some high gain, which I wouldn't necessarily do on this, but that 13.5K pickup in the bridge actually really supports it. We'll see what happens when we move to the other positions. So if there's cuts, that's me turning up the noise gate. So yeah, it can go. Let's try the middle position. Hey, all right, we're doing okay with the hum so far. Little sloppy, but you get the idea. Let's go to the neck. Still no hum. All right, we're doing good. All right, we're just going to go back to the bridge just for fun because Mini Talica. Pretty decent sustain with the gain up too. All right, I'm going to turn off the transmitter so we don't get any noise when I set this down. Or actually, I'm not going to set it down. We're going to keep it right here because we're still going to be talking about it. Let me take these off though. So just some final thoughts here. I had been looking into something to buy for a Mini after watching Rob's channel for a while, possibly as a travel guitar, just because I've got a bunch of different portable amps, including the Spark 40, which I can run off a battery. And it's just fun to have something when you're away to just while away a couple hours if you've got nothing else to do. And I thought something like this would fit the bill. Well, enter Rob, along with his wife, Karen, who Rob informed me they both talked about it, and they graciously sent me the Malibu. So thank you again for it. So after working on it and playing with it for quite a while, Rob, I completely get it. One, they are real guitars. You heard it. It sounds like a full-scale guitar, plays like a full-scale guitar for the most part, and they are fun. But also, since I had this, I did tweak my shoulder the one time, and I was having a real hard time with my full-size guitars for a couple days. They're nothing serious, but it gave me a taste of the benefits of this because I was able to pick this up, have it sit in my lap, not hurt my shoulder at all, and play. Playing guitar at night after work is my happy place, and not being able to do that for a couple days uh, makes Chris a grumpy boy. So having this on hand, this was great. So now I get it. So anybody with any sort of injury problem or hand issues like neuropathy or some other kind of disability, what have you, an injury, uh, it just is. This is an option and gives somebody the gift of music back. Um, and I think that's just invaluable. So I think these definitely have a place in the conversation for just about everybody, whether it's travel size guitars or because you need something to allow you to play and express yourself again. So there are a few differences in playing that I did notice. Number one, because I'm using 11s on here instead of 12s, I'm not necessarily tuning up. Rob had done 10s and tuned up G to G, which gave it more tension. I'm going to have to see if the 11s are going to work. I'm still in standard tuning, but I was having a little bit of tuning stability problems, which partially could be the tuners. There were a couple that were sloppy. I did not recut the nut for 11s versus 10s, which is something I will probably have to do after I get it back on the bench. So what I'm going to do is try and save the strings, replace the tuners, string it back up, and we're going to see if it does need a shim or not. It looks pretty straight to me, but we'll wait till we have the tuners on, and I'm going to readdress the action and intonation because I did intonate it, but I don't think the strings were totally stretched in. So I'm having a little bit of tuning stability up here, which also could be the action and needing a shim. So we'll see. So there's a couple things to do there, but I think the tuners are really the only things I want to replace on it because I kind of like how these pickups sound together. The other plain consideration if you're going to get a Mini is if you've gotten to the point where you have a feel for when you're going up the neck to where you're going to your 12th fret, I have found myself just skating right past that if I'm not paying attention to the fact that I'm having a Mini. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you play it for 10, 15 minutes, you're kind of into it. Like I said, this is going to go on the bench to address the tuners and the intonation again. I might move up to 12s if I can't get the 11s to intonate properly or sit at the proper tension to avoid fret buzz. I haven't had any real problems with it, so I think the 11s are probably what I'm going to stick with. So just thanks again, Rob. I am enjoying this immensely, and the ability to keep it close at hand, like right at my desk there, is an added bonus. As an additional topic, I did send a picture of this to my son, and he thought it was very, very cool. A lot of you that are friends with me know that my son is in the military, and he is wanting a guitar, but in his quarters, he doesn't have his personal quarters. It's his personal quarters, but it's the military, so you've got to keep things rather organized. He doesn't have a whole ton of room for things. I am thinking about getting him probably a 22-inch scale mini, just a little larger than this, so something that'll be a little more normal feeling compared to a full-size guitar, but still leave him the room. And I'm probably going to try and deck it out with some Air Force decals or something. And I'm getting a mini amp, thanks to Brian over at Searching for Tone. I'll link his channel below too. You should check him out. He's another great channel. And we're going to try and put something together as a surprise for him for Christmas, unless he watches this video. I doubt it. He doesn't have a whole lot of time and doesn't really watch a whole lot of stuff. So, but we'll still try and keep it a secret. I'll probably make videos of putting it together, but not post until it's closer to time to give it to him. So again, thank you, Rob. This is fantastic. It is so much fun. I am going to keep the cell shading, everything on it the way it is, other than just kind of upgrading the tuning stability and trying to dial in the setup a little more. This is a fantastic gift. I cannot thank you and Karen enough for it. And as for the rest of you, I cannot thank you guys enough for coming along for the ride, watching another video with me, or watching another video with me in it, and just hanging out on the channel, providing support, advice, everything else. And we'll see you around the YouTubes, guys. Until the next one.